Good morning, everyone. I see two of you in the chat. I'd better get that to live chat, shouldn't I? Good morning. Yes, I am wearing a little bit of makeup this morning because I'm coming to you from I'm using my new iPhone 11 as a webcam, and it's pretty brutal when it comes to HD. So nasty. Yeah. Hello, Lynn. Good to see you. I assume that you're all hearing me fine. So we have a special guest today. I don't know whether he's coming on at 11 or 11:30. I thought it was 11:30, and then he texted me and said, "Oh, isn't it 11?" So he's joining me via Zoom from Newcastle in New South Wales. Very special guest. I'm really looking forward to this program. I've been a fan of this guy since 1991. When I was at the clarinet conference in Brisbane, and I saw this young skinny bloke with a full head of hair play some of the fastest jazz clarinet stuff I had ever heard in my life. Andy's Australian, and not only is he an amazing jazz musician, but he's a pretty incredible composer too, and so I'm going to play you his stuff that he's composed. He composes for the local music examinations board here. His music is very accessible. And then I'm going to play you some of his harder stuff that I've recorded. And then I'll play a bit of Andy as well. And then we'll get Andy on via Zoom. That should be fun. Alright, so I think we're ready to begin. Welcome everyone to my usual Saturday morning live stream. This is going to be a fun live stream. I'm featuring the music of Andy Firth, a virtuoso jazz clarinetist and saxophonist. He's absolutely incredible, and yes, you will hear some Andy. And I'm going to, and he composes as well. He's is just as amazing a composer as he is a musician. And I've played a number of his pieces, so very jazzy. And then he's going to join us either in half an hour or an hour's time. We're still sorting that out, but he will join us. He's quite an amazing guy, and I'm so thrilled that he's decided to have a chat with me. So, if you didn't get the preamble, I've known Andy since 1991. I was at the tender age of 15 and attended Andy's performance with John Denman, another amazing jazz clarinetist who sadly passed, at the Conservatorium of Music, and some of the fastest jazz fingers I had ever heard in my life. And we were hooting and hollering and screaming with appreciation at how amazing he was. And in the last few years, he's turned to composing. And so that's what you're going to hear right now. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay. Oops, hang on. Okay. I just thought I'd. Okay, cool then. Yeah, so I just thought I'd jump in because I wanted to introduce the next piece. It's funny actually because it's very virtuosic. It's incredibly hard, and I played it for a jazz clarinetist friend of mine, and he said, "Gosh, you've spent a lot of time in the practice room, haven't you?" So so this is three jazz pieces, very virtuosic, and I recorded it live. And Andy actually commented on the YouTube video. He says, "Gosh, you're very, very brave recording that live." So here goes. I'll just bring that back. So you're in for some very fast notes here. All right. Okay, just thought I'd pop in again to introduce the next piece, Tico, Tico, Tico. It's Andy's take. He's a very humorous guy. He's a very musically humorous guy. And Tico, Tico, Tico is a take on the song Tico, Tico. But Tommy Tico is a very, very famous, I think sadly passed now, musician here in Australia. So there's a lot of notes, which is pretty usual for Andy, actually. And then I promise we'll get into some of Andy's stuff and you can see how fast his fingers move. So, here we go. This is Tico, Tico, Tico. A take on Tico, Tico. This is awesome. You're going to love this. So, how much fun was that? So that's the end of me playing. Yeah, you're going to hear Andy. So if you thought my playing was virtuosic and all I heard was all the wrong notes and all the notes I missed. But anyway, here's some Andy. This is him at the Brisbane Jazz Club. I've heard him there before, and I was probably there at this performance that was recorded. But guys, you're in for a treat. I know. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! My goodness, this guy!
60-40 stuff, and I play tenor sax and all that stuff. He meant running wild. So it's not actually running there, we're going to do running wild. Well, it's going to be a ballad, it's called Running Wild.
I'm going to play Running Bear.
Phil's going to actually be playing Running Away. So let's start. Why not?
Okay, guys, I'm just going to step in. I'm just going to step in here. How good is this? I mean, I'm like, this is so good. I'm going to call Andy now, and we're going to have a chat. So, going to catch off. Woohoo! How good is that? I am seriously pumped for this. So, I'm going to see if I can get hold of Andy. Yeah, oh, isn't he just amazing. Right. So hopefully Andy will chime in soon. Yeah. Yeah, so you'll just have to stick with my face for the moment. Just waiting for Andy to come in. Yeah, Andy's just incredible, isn't he? I mean, he not only plays like that, but he composes for like half a dozen instruments. He's just amazing. So, oh yeah, on Facebook. We keep in touch. We're Facebook friends. I haven't spoken to in a while, but you know, I keep up to date. Just checking. So yeah, it's got a few minutes yet. So just give me a sec. Just waiting for Andy to pop in. So yeah, oh hang on, I better get back to Facebook. So yeah, I'm just oh yeah, look, Andy's just incredible. It really is. Yeah, I've got some more after this. If you want to, oh hang on. Sound should be okay. Is it still suck? Yeah, I'm trying to get Andy on Zoom. So give me a sec. Oh, hang on. Encoding overloaded. Sorry, I'm just having trouble. I just got to turn down the video settings. Give me a sec. Oh. Okay, can't turn down. But yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff happening. Just waiting for Andy to dial in. Oh yeah, Andy's a bloody legend. Just waiting for Andy to come on board. Yeah. And just get rid of mail. BB King. Come on, Andy. Let's see if he's having trouble. Okay. Just waiting for Andy. Come in, Spinner. So, okay. So we're still waiting for Andy. Come on, Andy. Hope I'm on the right Zoom meeting. Oh, hang on. He's just texting me now. Give me a sec. Oh shit. Sorry. Okay. Let me just stop that meeting. Okay. Sorry. This is always fun, isn't it? So, okay. Okay. I'm sorry about this, guys. So, sorry about this. He's just having trouble getting in. Don't you love technology? I'm probably losing all my fans. G'day, Andy. Hey, Andy. Oh, it's connected to audio. Cool. Can't hear you, Andy. Can you hear me, Andy? Shit. Hang on. Can't hear you, Andy. Can you hear me, Andy? Oh, bugger. This worked better for John last week. Hang on. Just checking my settings. Okay. Still can't hear you, Andy. Yeah, so they can see you. Nah. You didn't connect to audio. Yeah, so, can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah, I've got you now.
Ah, fabulous! Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
Ah, great.
Yep. No, I connected to audio. I did it again just in case, so it worked.
Okay. Just, okay, right, we're on screen. Fabulous.
Yep.
So Andy, am I on delay? Is my video on delay?
A little bit, but I can hear your voice clearly, which is
cool.
more than I can with Skype.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're live on YouTube on my YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
We've been listening to you for the last hour.
Oh dear.
Well,
That's
I mean,
a worry.
the first 45 minutes was me playing you.
Okay.
And then for about the last 15 minutes, it was you at the Brisbane Jazz Club and you at the Gold Coast Jazz Club and
Oh yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So we've been having a pretty good time the last 15 minutes.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Yeah. Hang on,
I've been working on a book this morning. That's about all. But
all right, hang on. I might just actually change my video preferences to because the Epoch Cam seems to be a bit on delay. So I'm now changing to the FaceTime.
Yeah, by about. That's better.
That's better. Yeah. Okay, that's my
Yeah,
FaceTime.
Yeah.
That's my FaceTime.
Yeah, now you're real time.
Fab. Okay, hang on. I'll just get rid of all of that crap that's currently on my screen. Oh, that's much better. You like my?
Yeah. I tried that the other day. I was having a meeting in Los Angeles, some opera company in Los Angeles, and I thought I'd mess around with this idea of putting a better backing than my messy bookshelf.
Yeah.
But it kind of looked like I was out of Star Trek, It was like every time I moved it, it morphed, So I decided it wasn't a good idea. So I just went with my messy bookcase in the back.
Yeah. Oh, it's just that I thought that my webcam on my Mac was a bit crappy, so I've been using a.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah, they can be. I bought a Logitech that seems to do the job for teaching, and the delay isn't too bad.
Yeah, no,
but it's surprising. I mean, you get people ring you from Oklahoma and things, and it's as clear as a bell up there in the next room.
Yeah.
And then I'll Skype a student in Mayfield, which is just around the corner.
Yeah.
And it'll be like we're on Mars,
Oh yeah. Good old Malcolm Turnbull's NBN.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I've got no complaints with the NBN. It's probably 10 times better than what I had.
Oh yeah.
ADSL 2+. Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. But it seems to be that it depends on their connection, what they're connected up with. See, we've got Optus, and I've never had a day's problem with Optus for 15 years or 20 years, actually. And Telstra was always having dropouts all the time. So I think a lot of my kids are on Big Pond and Telstra and things, and it's not as fast. It's not as good.
Oh,
anyway,
Well, everybody.
It's very flattering you've chosen my music to play to people.
Hey?
That's very flattering that you've chosen my music to play to people.
Oh, I'm a huge fan, Andy. I have been a huge fan of yours since I was 15.
That's nice.
When, I'm going to reveal my age. It was 1991 at the Clarinet Society conference up in
the
Brisbane.
International Conference in Brisbane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard you. Yeah, that's a lovely story. So I was 15, and you came on stage with John Denman, and completely blew us away.
I still have those video clips.
I know. I'm going to show them after we get off the call.
Yeah. It's the only video in existence, as far as I know.
Wow.
The only copy of it.
Yeah. So, you're I haven't got a huge audience live, but hopefully a few people will tune in.
Oh, that's a relief.
And I think most of them are in America too. So.
Yeah, I did a conference on just about a week ago. A guy in Sweden, he's a very good clarinet player, and that was pretty nerve-wracking because he had Eddie Daniels and Paquito Rivera and all these other legends, and I don't know why he chose me in a million years. He did. Nice bloke, not really nice guy. We had a good chat, and it was interesting that he wanted to know about me. I mean, I never think of myself as anything as anywhere near a great player. I've just been lucky and met the right people at the right time.
Well, I think you're amazing, and all my fans who have been commenting on my YouTube channels that you're all amazing. So.
That's nice. That's nice. That's good to know.
So.
We just do what we do in our little corner of the world and try to stay sane as much as possible.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to in ISO?
In
ISO.
Oh, in lockdown. Lockdown. Yeah. I've done, I think, 5 or 6 albums in lockdown.
Oh, is that all? You've been lazy, man.
Yeah, I've been lazy. That's right. And I've written about nine new books. So, because Liz has had her health issues, we haven't had so much of a chance to do the covers and get the graphic arts and all done for most of them. But there's the exciting one that I put up there was the 2 volumes of improvisation. So pieces written around standard chord changes for jazz standards, and then an analysis of the solo in the back of the piano book. So I wanted to do that. That's been 3 years in the making, that book. Took a lot of work to do that. So it's basically college level, getting people into improvisation that haven't learned anything about improvisation before. It's just a gentle introduction into the world of proper improvisation. And I've wanted to do that for a while.
That's interesting.
And then the rest of it really just kids' books. It's a book of 12 pieces from different styles from around the world between 2nd and 6th grade. And then I did one called Australia My Home, which is a piece written about every capital city of Australia. And I just before I connected to this meeting, finished a book called Latin for Learners, which has got merengue and cha-chas and mambos and bossa novas and sambas for beginner players.
Wow, that's...
Because it's a great music, Latin, and it's pretty easy. I mean, you just have these nice, beautifully haunting melodies against, nice, soothing bossa novas and sambas. And, it's very, very easy for beginners to sound good on that sort of stuff. I don't understand. I've always maintained this belief that beginner music or music designed for beginner players doesn't need to be boring or banal. I don't know why we gravitate towards nursery rhymes and Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars and things like that for kids that are learning. There's no reason for it. I mean, some of the most beautiful melodies are the simplest.
Yeah.
You've got a nice backing with it, nice sophisticated harmonic underpinning, and they can feel like they're $1 million, Even Jerome Kern and Cole Porter and George Gershwin, their melodies aren't difficult to play. We just don't have access to them because of greedy publishers. But if you write something that sounds similar, it can be quite motivating and quite inspiring for kids, beginner players, even and novice players. They don't have to be young, but just simple melodies that are easy to play, quavers and crotchets, and with a nice sophisticated harmonic underpinning, and yeah, there you go. It works quite well.
Yeah,
so I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, so you came to composing a few years ago now.
No, well, composing, I've been composing since I was about 13 years old.
Okay.
So, yeah, just writing various things from pop songs and jazz ditties, and but serious composition only when I started studying, well, just a couple of years before I started studying with Tommy Tico, because Tommy was my inspiration for getting into composition and arranging. I had to know how his arrangements worked. So when we became friends, it was the perfect opportunity. And I never, ever asked him for any insight or a lesson in my entire friendship with him. But he was such a giving, generous man that he just would impart his knowledge. He just couldn't help but share his knowledge with you. So I didn't have formal study as like in every week, but I spent hours at his place looking through his orchestrations and asking him about how this works and how that works, and getting him to criticise my arrangements and critique, what I was doing. And I learned a lot from that.
Actually,
and the rest of it was just a passion for music.
Tell us a little bit more about Tommy Tico, because just before we came on, I was playing your piece, Tico, Tico, Tico. Which is which I think is a take on Tico, Tico.
Tico, Tico, Tico. Yeah. Which Tommy recorded with his daughter Vicky on an album. It was one of Tommy's party pieces when he was a kid. Yeah. So that's why I did it in memory of him. Well, actually, he was around at the time, but he was infirmed. But, it was in honour of him. We named our third puppy, let me get this right now, our third puppy, yes, because it was Jazz Bebop, and the third boy is Tico. We named him after Tommy. When Tommy had his stroke and went into a nursing home, he loved dogs. Yeah. But he could never have a dog because he lived, the rich part of in Sydney, and he was in a executive apartment, and he couldn't have dogs. Yeah. So we got Tico and we named him after him, and we used to take him to the nursing home. We had special dispensation to take the dog into the nursing home to see Tommy, and he would sit out in the garden with his daughter Vicky, and Tico would lick his face. And we had Jazz at that stage, and he loved Jazz. He was a black spaniel. So
so my fans are, well, most of them sort of in Washington and various states of America have no idea who Tommy Tico is. You want to
Tommy Tico was, well, put it this way, all you need to know about Tommy Tico was Henry Mancini was a fan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they were good friends. And they toured together when Henry came out to Australia in the 60s. Tommy and Henry did concerts together, and they were fans of each other, because Tommy was a huge fan of Henry Mancini, as everyone is really. But it's unusual for someone as great as Henry Mancini to be a fan of someone like Tommy Tico, hidden away in Australia. In fact, Billy May was a good friend of Tommy Tico's, and he was invited to a party because one of his dear friends, Tommy's dear friends, was the American comedian Stan Freberg. And so he went to a party one night, and Billy May's orchestra was set up by the pool there, as Tommy told me the story. And Billy May took him to Vegas, because he'd never been to Vegas before. And so they flew to Vegas a couple of days later. And they offered, I'm going to get this right now, Caesar's Palace, I think it was. Yeah, they offered him the music directorship of Caesar's Palace. And I said, why on earth didn't you take that? I mean, you would have made more money than in a week than you'd see in a lifetime in Australia. And he said, yes, but Andy, I'd be pushing up the daisies a long time ago. So the stress and the strain of, arranging a show and rehearsing it during the day, and then a different show every day and writing all the charts for it. He said he would have been buried a long time ago if he'd taken that gig. It would have been worth a lot of money, and they would have had a dream lifestyle, but they decided on the way back to Australia not to take it. Yeah. And thankfully, it was the right decision, because we got to experience his genius for a lot longer.
Yeah, actually, my fans are very impressed about Henry Mancini, so the Henry Mancini connection. So.
Yeah. I mean, they were dear friends. And actually, the pen that Tommy wrote with, or it was some sort of pencil, he did tell me the name of it, Electroset pencil, I think it was. It was like a graphite, but I think it had some sort of charge in it, or electronically controlled or something, a battery or something. I never got to see the pencil, but I know that he used to write with this, and he said it was a gift from Henry Mancini.
Oh, wow.
So he wrote his scores with this special pencil.
So have you considered, because what I've been doing a couple of times a week is live streaming, and I started actually, because it's dead easy, you know, you get, I was inspired by a geology professor in Washington. As I told you, I've been getting into geology and ISO because I came across this guy. I was researching the San Andreas Fault. I've always had a mild interest in geology. Came across this guy who teaches geology, but is the most entertaining thing on YouTube. Anyway, he got himself an iPhone 11 and had a YouTube account, and he just stuck his iPhone on a ladder and logged into his YouTube app and just pressed live and would talk into his iPhone for an hour. Okay. And he did 75 live streams.
Wow.
On various aspects of Washington geology. And I was inspired by that because he sort of got himself a cult following. His name's Nick Zentner, and we call ourselves Zent Nerds. And I decided, well, if he can live stream, I can live stream. So because I had a ready-made audience with these Zent Nerds, I said, well, Nick, live streams 5 days a week. How about I live streams on the nights that he's not live streaming? And so the first one I did was a Saturday morning, which is their Friday night, because they live in the past in Washington, of course. They're about 17 hours behind. And I did an introduction to the recorder. So I stuck my iPad on a stand and pressed live, and instant audience, and I made sure the audio was working and everything, and I got out my collection of 25 recorders, all the way from the Gark line to the contrabass, and played for a couple of hours, and that was pretty popular. And so the next week was I go for Baroque, again another 2 hours, and I was performing for fans. And then I thought, well, live performance is a little bit too exhausting. So, and, I've got, sort of 4,000 videos up on YouTube. And I got myself a program called OBS. I don't know if you've heard of it. But this is what... OBS?
OBS, no.
Yeah. So what it allows me to do is share my computer screen and live broadcast on YouTube.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Skype's got that feature too, but it's a bit slow.
No, I'm broadcasting now.
But Skype has that same share your screen.
Yeah.
But every time I engage that, the internet just freezes. The streaming isn't fast enough. Actually, one thing that COVID has shown me is how bad the world globally, how slow and bad the internet is.
Yeah.
Because I see interviews on Ari Melba and Brian Williams and Joe Scarborough's show, Morning Joe, with senators and speakers of the houses and things like that, and of the House, Nancy Pelosi. And the video is freezing, and you would think that those people would be able to afford the best internet, and everything would be running really smoothly in America, but it's just as bad as here.
Yeah.
In some cases worse. I mean, our live interviews on Skype and things with doctors and people that are telling us about COVID are pretty smooth. But every time I see one of these interviews, even with a famous comedian or someone, it just freezes in the middle of it and they have to reconnect. And it's amazing. I don't think we're there yet. We're not there with the speed of internet that we should be.
No.
But something that's being all held back from us lowly people that can't have fast internet.
Oh well, I don't have any complaints on my end. I'm with Telstra, and I get I think it's 90 megabits download and 37 megabits upload. So I'm laughing.
I'm not sure when they posted my interview last week with the guy. It was like frozen. It was like I was a picture. It wasn't. It was just static sort of pictures. So I don't know whether that was on my side of things or on his side of things, but it was almost untenable. You couldn't watch it without. Well, the audio was smooth as silk.
Because you're split second at the moment.
Sorry?
You're split second at the moment on my computer.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, you are too. But it's interesting that that's what has. All I'm getting at is that's what's put me off the idea of doing live streaming. Because I don't want to sound like I'm playing a slow rumba when I'm actually playing a bebop.
Yeah. Because your style's very much bebop, isn't it? In your
well, I'm a combination of swing and bebop. Yeah, people don't give me any sort of acknowledgement for being a bebop player, because when I was introduced to Australia by Don Burrows, I was essentially a swing Benny Goodman copy. And that seemed to work for me very well, commercially and financially. So I always kept that persona, that I was the guy from the country that played Benny Goodman style. And I was quite happy with it, quite comfortable with it, and I loved doing it. But no, I'm more Buddy DeFranco than I am Benny Goodman.
Yeah. I mean, as my fans were saying, because I sort of said to them before the program, when I first saw you at the age of 15, and of course I'm only 21 now, is that...
I'm 26, so...
You're 22, yeah?
Yeah, 26 actually. No, I'm a bit older than like I say. Yeah.
But when I first saw you, it was like the fastest fingers I'd ever heard. It was
well, that was from growing up in a country town. That was the only reason, because I didn't want to play football and I didn't want to get my face punched in on a football field, and I didn't want to join the railways.
Which football are we talking about here?
Sorry?
Which football we
Any sort of football. I was not interested, and to this day I'm not interested in sport at all. I don't like sport. So I had no interest in doing that. I had no interest in being part of the railways, and I had no interest in being part of the power station. So they were the main employment in Port Augusta, where I was born, in the country town.
So where's Port Augusta for the American fans?
Oh, Port Augusta is the tip of the Spencer Gulf in South Australia.
Oh, that's right. So you're a South Aussie, yeah.
Yeah, 375 kilometres from Adelaide, capital of South Australia. So it was a small country town, and the only thing that was to do was be part of the power station, work at the power station, because we were one of the major power providers for South Australia. We had a big power station there, or be part of the railways, which my dad was a part of. And I had no interest in that. So I figured the only way I could get my ticket out of Port Augusta was to do something different or better than the average person in music. And fortunately, my mentors were Tommy Tico and Don Burrows and Buddy DeFranco. So that was a gateway to playing virtuosic clarinet, because you couldn't be a fan of Benny Goodman, Don Burrows and Buddy DeFranco without having technique. So I figured if I was going to do something beyond what I could hear them doing, I was going to have an extraordinary technique and do some ridiculous amount of practice to get that. But I also realised at a very young age, say about the age of 7, that if I could do that, then I would be a little bit more unique as a player. Because I did realise in Australia there weren't players who could play like Buddy DeFranco and could play as fast as Goodman stuff. And that was hailed, even the Golden Wedding was hailed as something amazing if a clarinet player could play it. And I was playing the Golden Wedding by the age of 12, so it didn't really impress me that much. It wasn't that hard. I only went up to the top A and it had a few tricky runs in it, but nothing like a Buddy DeFranco solo or even an Artie Shaw solo like Nightmare. So that's why I developed that technique. It wasn't because I find it musically rewarding, and to this day I don't find it all that musically rewarding, but it was a pathway to being recognised.
Because you were practicing 6 hours a day, like,
when you
were 7,
I wasn't Yeah, I wasn't a good student. I have to say that. And quite often I was packing up my clarinet, running behind the car to try and get a ride to school because Mum would just lose patience and drive off with the other kids without me. And I'd have to run to school or walk to school. And that's because I was playing clarinet in the morning. I'd get up as early as I possibly could. We didn't really have a curfew. So, 10 o'clock was sort of like the cut-off because everyone wanted to go to sleep by then. But Mum and Dad would stay up and watch TV. And as long as they were up, we could be up. So, my brother didn't go to bed early and neither did my sister. So I would sit in my room and mess around with the clarinet after dinner.
Did you have a band at school at all? Or did you get into?
We had a concert band. Yeah, we did have a concert band, and it was a good quality little ensemble run by a guy called David Giger, who was from Adelaide. He was trained in Teachers College in Adelaide, and he came to Port Augusta, fortunately, because he was one of the few teachers that actually knew what they were doing in any subject. And he put together the concert band, the Augusta Park High School concert band. And we did things like Hogan's Heroes March and Eye Level and all that stuff from the 70s that was popular. And even the Fifth of Beethoven, the Walter Murphy arrangement of Fifth of Beethoven. And that was good because that gave me a little bit of a socialisation with other kids playing instruments. But it was the beginning of something that was become a trend that I got used to after a while of being not persecuted, but being on the out because you were better than everybody else.
Oh yeah,
So
I got
very
that a lot at
hard.
school too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very hard to be extraordinarily good at one thing amongst people who are average at it. And when you're younger, you always stand out like you're some sort of geek. I don't know whether it's science or maths or anything else. You always stand out as geek. But in music, you weren't like worshipped or hero worshipped like you were if you were a really good mathematician. You were the brains of the school. Everyone wanted to know you.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
music
I
wasn't
was was sort of more of an all-rounder. So I was smartest kid in school, and I got teased for that.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
No, in the country, you were the guy that everybody wanted to hang around with, the girl that everyone wanted to hang around because you had the answers. You could help get the marks that they needed. Music in the country, you were seen as a geek.
Yeah.
And especially if you're into jazz or classical music, you were a weirdo. You're off another planet. If you could play footy and you played music, well, you were in. But if you didn't like sport and all you could do was play clarinet, then you weren't really cool. So, and that followed me all the way through college, whereas I had a very hard time in college in my 3 years doing my degree in music. Because they didn't know how to pigeonhole me. I was playing classical music as well as jazz music and doing it at a high level in both. So they didn't really know.
Because they have specialised jazz programs now in the conservatoriums and at the colleges.
Yeah. Well, I started my first couple of months in a diploma of jazz studies in 1984. I did my matriculation, my HSC, got my mark, and then 2 weeks later got on a bus and went to Adelaide and started a diploma in jazz studies because they believe when they were streaming people at that stage, you auditioned and you got streamed in what they thought you were good at. And within the first couple of months, it became very obvious that they were just putting names to things I could already do. So I kind of felt like it was a waste of time for me because I wasn't really learning new skills about playing. I was just learning how to put technical terms to what I was already doing. So we would sit in a room in a circle and we'd have to play Dorian and Phrygian and Mixolydian and all these modes and Locrian and things. And it really didn't appeal to me. So I just jumped out of the fry pan into the fire and enrolled in a 3-year classical music degree.
Actually, my fans are saying that they would have thought people would have been really impressed with the musical skill. I guess they don't understand the Australian tradition of tall poppy syndrome, and if you're anything better than average, I
think it goes deeper than that. There's no cultural awareness and appreciation of people with ability in the arts in Australia, and you can see that's carried on right through the present day, where they've axed the Department for Arts. Like we don't have, there's no celebration of people of music or art in Australia. It's all about sport.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're a top footy player or a top cricket player, it's like...
I mean, you can $800,000 to $1 million a year for kicking a piece of inflated leather around. Well, that's great. But if you play Carnegie Hall, they don't even know where Carnegie Hall is, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. I mean, I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but there's a lot of people who come up against this as great musicians and leave Australia because of it.
I think,
And don't come back.
Well, a lot of, I mean, people do come back. I know I went over to England. I would have studied in the States, but I wasn't very well. But, well, actually,
We've lost some fabulous musicians because of that. You know, Tommy Emmanuel and Anthony Warlow have all had international careers, and deservedly so, but they've done much better in their new homes than they would have if they'd stayed in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a real shame.
Yeah.
The average musician in Australia earns about $22,000 to $30,000 a year.
Yeah, unless you get an orchestral gig.
Which is seen as poverty. That's
it
poverty.
Is, yeah. I mean, for America, it's slightly different, but here the minimum wage is about what, 36 to 40,000 a year. That's Aussie.
Oh yeah,
that's
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So 22,000 a year, you may as well be on the dole.
Yeah, and then the government rigged all the figures when they did what does the average musician earn? Well, they took the wages of Kylie Minogue and Anthony Warlow and people who were making serious money, and deservedly so, in other countries, and took that as the base wage for musicians. But we all know realistically that we're on poverty. You know, musicians are in poverty land, and artists, painters, and calligraphers and graphic design, even more so.
Actually, I saw a funny cartoon because, you know, I mean, the reason why I didn't go into a career in music, apart from my health, was because my family sort of saw a career in music as, it's just a hobby, get a real job.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, people say, you know, unless you can support yourself, you know, without government assistance, why don't you get a real job? And what was funny with the cartoon was that with COVID and the fact that the airline industry's gone to crap, suddenly the airlines are asking for government assistance. And so you had the artist saying to the airline pilot, well, if you can't exist without government assistance, why don't you get a real job?
Well, when COVID came along and a lot of people were starting to lose, you know, 40%, 50% of their business, we were basically saying, welcome to our world.
Yes.
You know, because that's the way it is. You can play Carnegie Hall and you can have 26 albums, but you can still earn less than a cleaner in Australia. And that's the way it is. And I'm sure that's the same in America and the rest of the world. I mean, artists have always struggled and suffered for their arts. There's only like a 0.1% of artists who actually go on and make serious money out of it.
And you try getting a government grant.
Forget it. No.
I think
even
Sean O'Boyle, you know, even Sean O'Boyle.
The sad part about it is we can't advise our students who are talented in music to pursue it as a career any longer. Hand on heart, you can't do it because you know they're going to face a life of hardship and suffering. And if you're not making 150 to 170 grand a year, life is tough. You never own a home. You'll never have a decent car. You'll never be able to put food and clothes. So it's that's one of the sad aspects of what we do is that it's not supported financially, and it is not considered a serious occupation. And that's one of the difficulties of being a full-time musician.
Although,
and people like myself have to start up websites and sell their music on their own website, because that way you're guaranteed to get a percentage of the work that you've put into it. I mean, publishers will give you at most 15% is considered an amazing deal for a publisher. You know, a lot of my publishing deals that I had with major publishers were 5 and 10%. And that's a hell of a lot of work to put into your music for a 5 or 10% cut of a book. So then you have to set up your own website and promote your own music. So that's the hard part of what we do. Of course, all the joy and the reward comes from creating music and being able to leave that behind as your legacy, your gift to future generations.
But I mean, you must supplement your income with teaching as well.
Oh, you have to. I think every musician in Australia, apart from ones that have really made it with big management, have to supplement their income with teaching. And I think that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing, because otherwise there is no future. There are no kids to come up and behind us. It's the culture and the way the world is now and the way it's heading after COVID, post-COVID, will not be an attractive proposition to be a full-time musician or a teacher even. So I think it's a good thing that musos who have been out there and done it and that are good players are actually teaching it and passing it on in the communities. I know that all the guys in my band and all the people that I respect as good quality musicians in the town I live in also teach, and that's reassuring for me because I'd rather have players who have done it, been there, seen it, done it, teaching that people have got pieces of paper that haven't spent a day on stage. You know? There's plenty of them in the universities already.
Yeah. Well, I think the clarinet teacher. Well, there is a difference between good performers and good teachers because not every good performer is a good teacher. I mean, I'm rubbish. I'm rubbish at teaching. I was actually diagnosed a few years ago as having Asperger's, autism. So
I taught a lot of students with that.
Yeah. So my communication skills, verbally, and my connecting with students, I'm rubbish at that.
I think you communicate very well. On the contrary, I think you'd be a good teacher.
No, they don't stay very long, and it's a matter of my health too. I sort of subject to frequent bouts of depression, so you can't even get out of bed. So try getting up.
Yeah, a lot of musicians.
Try getting up and facing.
Have that.
Yeah, so try getting up and facing students every week. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I did try to teach, and just a combination of factors. I mean, I actually can't work. I did have a real job for a while, working for Telstra, and even then I kept having to have regular sick time off because I just couldn't get out of bed. So I don't work at all. I got a husband that is a well-paid public servant, so I'm lucky.
But it's a global crisis, mental health of people today,
and it's so
not taken seriously.
It's
getting better, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it took 36 years for me to be diagnosed as autistic. And,
yes.
I had a terrible time in school, at the conservatorium. Like, I wouldn't get booked with the symphony orchestra because the principal clarinet player couldn't handle me, so wouldn't book me, even though I was, the better player. And I remember at AYR, Australian Youth Orchestra, they gave me a terrible time there. Australian National Academy of Music, they gave me a terrible time there. Royal College of Music, they gave me a terrible time there. Some, sort of people thought I was diagnosed bipolar. I had a terrible time and frequent bouts of depression, hospitalisation, people saying, "Oh, you're odd, you're weird." Why are you? Why are you like that?
A lot of students have come to me with those issues because the parents couldn't find teachers for them that were willing to try to understand the way they think.
Yeah,
but I think I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but I'm probably borderline something because I had the same issues at school where all I wanted to do was to make music and to think about music. I told my maths teacher, I think it was year 7, all I need is to know how to count up to 128 and I'm done. So that was my attitude to maths. With 128, all music goes to, that's it. That's all I need. So if you can do that for me, I'll be happy.
Because unfortunately, my teacher at the Royal College of Music effectively ended my music career because, I was living in England, autistic, and not knowing it, depressed, missing the Queensland sun, and he couldn't understand. Why are you depressed? There's no reason for you to be depressed. And I ended up getting so bad that it affected my playing. So I started using harder and harder and harder reeds, blew out my embouchure. Physically.
Oh, right.
I physically blew out my embouchure. And
there's a lot of victims of victims. And unfortunately what happens is victims usually go on to teach and they create more victims. So it's one of my things in life is always to do wherever I go as a performer is to try and organise a masterclass or to try and go there and help kids that are having issues finding ways to do things that should be easy on the instrument. Like I went to America and I realised that a lot of the players actually play almost vertically. There's this thing in America where the embouchure is, it's like they pull down, it's almost vertical.
Yeah.
And as you know, the clarinet mouthpiece is cut at 45 degrees. It's not going to work because the teeth don't retract into the jaw.
Well, unless you have an underbite.
Well, that's right. A lot of the famous players that they modelled themselves on did have
an overbite, yeah.
An overbite, sorry,
Yeah.
overbites. But what the problem is then is high notes become an issue because all you're doing is squeezing and squashing the reed.
Yeah.
And getting a big sound out of the instrument's an issue. And that's not all players, but I did give master classes in Florida and around various places around America when I was there touring with Rico. And that was one of the main things that I sort of found was that players were playing almost vertically into the teeth.
And I'll tell you a little bit about my style of communication because I'm talking into a computer screen on my couch. And I'm as comfortable as you like, but you get me in a room of people. In a room of people, if I'm on stage, with something in my mouth, most comfortable person on earth. Talking into a computer screen, most comfortable person on earth. In person, nah. So it's what I found actually, and I haven't done it in a while, and you've probably seen these, is YouTube teaching videos. So it's just me talking into my video camera for, half an hour or so, and getting out my knowledge that way. But for me, sort of having to connect with a kid in the same room, metre and a half apart. No, that's very, very
I've been asked to do stuff like that, and I've steered clear of it because I guess when you are dealing with students who have specific issues, things that work for one student won't work for another.
No.
And if you do a generic, this fixes all problems, well, it's not honest. And I think what you need to do is actually see the player and see the student and talk to the player, find out what they're having difficulties with, what sort of equipment they've got, what reeds they're using, what mouthpiece they're using, how they hold the instrument, all sorts of little psychological things that you can ask them too, that you don't get too prying, but you can find that some of them are just nervous, so they're biting, or they've been told that to get a good sound out of the clarinet in the high register, you have to squeeze harder like a trumpeter. Things that they've been taught by teachers that seem innocent enough can be major problems and blocks to their ability to progress. And I think that's why I've steered clear of doing any of those, because I could put out hundreds of little tips and pointers on playing the clarinet and the saxophone. And the only ones that I've really done are just basic things that any teacher could sort of point out, alternate fingerings or how to do vibrato or glisses. Everyone wants to know about the smooth gliss and all that sort of stuff.
I think actually my most popular video is the one I did on jazz clarinet techniques. But actually, a lot of the videos I put out aren't actually technical in terms of you need to do this, you need to do that. What I've done is I'm a big fan of Music -1 and Smart Music. I just go through pieces of music and explain how I play the pieces of music. So it's more artistic interpretation. Well,
that's all fine. But I've seen those teaching videos, like it's just a series, you pay a subscription and there's a series of videos that teaches you how to do everything from put your clarinet together to playing concertos. And to a certain extent, I'd steer clear of all of that because I think everybody cannot be generalised. You can't put everyone in one box. No. You've got to actually see what their issues are, and as a teacher, sort of try to wrap your head around how the person thinks and why they're doing what they're doing. And then it's per person. It's like a doctor saying everyone has got this. No, it's not. Everyone's different. You've got to see what their case history is.
Actually, a lot of my fans are talking about mental health. They seem to be quite interested. I know what would have helped me at the Royal College of Music, and because they're saying you seem like a really good teacher, is that I think as a music teacher, you need as much to be part psychologist, as much as you know, because the student might come in and they're, you know, a bit agitated because they, you know, they've just failed a maths exam or someone's beaten them up in the playground or something. And
you have to be a secret psychologist. You have to be clandestine in your approach to psychology as a teacher. And unfortunately, because of litigation and the ridiculous situation this society finds itself in, where everyone wants to blame everyone else for their own problems. So, yes, I agree with that 100%, but I never, ever espouse or ever diagnose any psychology.
No. But you just got to be there to listen, haven't you?
I keep it in the back of my mind and then use that as part of the reason something may be happening. But no, I think it's only a small part of a lot of the issues. I think the psychology of musicians is such that the stress of the industry and making a living and being recognised and getting appreciated for what we do is probably the major part of any psychological issues. I mean, some people do have serious psychological things they have to deal with and they need to be diagnosed.
Yeah, well, I was kind of, I mean, I gave my undergraduate...
you realised and you were diagnosed. Yeah, that's right. But I think a lot of the issues with our is really stress and the pressure on us to be recognised and to make some sort of living out of what we do is enough to create psychological issues over a lifetime. There's no doubt about that.
And I found, actually, I'm going back and studying another master's because my first master's was performance.
Glutton for punishment, eh?
Sorry?
A glutton for punishment.
Oh no! Well, it was a suggestion of my psychologist that I go back to study because I'm good at it. I like it, and it gives me a goal. I'm a very goal-oriented person, and she said, "Oh, why don't you go back and study?" And I wanted to do a PhD. But because my background is performance, I don't have any credit points. I don't have any research credit points. So I'm going back to, and I'm doing it at UQ now, and I'm going to get my research credit points so I can go on and do a PhD. But one of the subjects I'm studying, which I'm very interested in, is perspectives in music education, and there's psychology sort of stuff in there, because if you train to be a music therapist, and I think a lot of musicians actually go into music therapy because that's where the money is, isn't it? If you can get into Queensland Health or something, is that if you want to study music therapy, you have to study 2 psychology subjects first. But I'm very interested in this perspectives in music education and sort of the psychology that's gone into it, and I think that while I don't know if things have changed in the sort of the 30 years since I've been an undergraduate. It's not that long, but we did have pedagogy subjects, but we were never sort of given any, and I suppose back then, you didn't have mental health issues and autism, and that just wasn't round then. But I think, coming from someone that does struggle very much with mental health issues, and the mental health issues can affect me physically and affect my playing physically, is that I think teachers have to be, at least have some sort of psychology subject in their music degrees. To cope with kids, to know what autism is, and it's a spectrum, to know what ADHD is, to know what, and I suppose for you it's probably a little bit sort of intuitive, whereas for me, I'd have to sort of study the psychology and work out, how to deal with sort of an ADHD kid.
Well, the problem with music education, and especially in this country, in Australia, is that people started to rely on hiring people because of the pieces of paper that they had, rather than the experience and the knowledge and the know-how that they had. And that's still a major problem today. And it doesn't seem to be an avenue to employment. When you come out of a conservatorium, you're in a cushioned cotton environment. You're in like a rubber-walled environment where you can bang your head against the wall as much as you like and you won't get hurt because you're being supported and protected within that environment. As soon as you walk out with your piece of paper into the real world, that's when you get stomped on. And kids aren't prepared for that. They're given this false sense of security while they're in 3-year course.
Yeah, I think, I'll just waltz into the next symphony orchestra, or the major private schools are all hire me as a teacher,
and the jazz courses lead you to believe you're going to be Charlie Parker or Dizzy Gillespie or Miles Davis, and it's not realistic. You're going to end up playing cold chisel covers for the next 5 years in a rock band. So get used to playing keyboards and a few alto solos. That's what I found. And I was lucky enough that someone like Don Burrows actually saw some ability in me and promoted me to the rest of Australia when I was very young. So I was probably one of the last generation, like with James Morrison and Tommy Manuel, to actually get that national Australian exposure on TV. That's all gone now. Those days are gone.
Oh, yeah. Weren't you on, like, Ray Martin? Were you on the
midday show? I regularly did Hey Hey at Saturday.
Oh, Hey Hey. Oh,
yeah.
I know. I've seen you on Hey Hey on various YouTube
No More Lonely Nights was written, that I put in the Boozy and Hawks book. That was written for Hey Hey at Saturday because Daryl Summers asked me if the next time I came on the show I could actually do an original composition. So I wrote No More Lonely Nights for that particular show.
So for the American viewers. So for the American viewers, Hey Hey at Saturday is like it was on TV for like 20 or 30 years. It was a variety show.
yeah, it was like the Howdy Doody show with variety. But it's and
but
it went
doesn't
on for a long
exist
time.
anymore. The only Australian content you get now is The Voice. What is it? Australian Idol. The Bachelor.
No.
Who won The Voice? It was like Guy Sebastian's brother or something.
We had a golden era there for a while in the 80s where there were still variety shows you could go on. You could go on morning TV, breakfast TV. I did Bert Newton show several times, and I did Hey Hey at Saturday. I did the Ray Martin show at least 5 times with various artists, George Goller and Bob Bernard and all these legends. I was very, very lucky. I was fortunate. I was in the right place at the right time, just at the end of a golden era. And that's all gone now. It's really sad. The people who were part of that are gone as well. So it's time to reinvent. And that's what you have to, that's the hardest part of being a musician, is you're going to have to reinvent yourself at least 5 or 6 times during a lifetime.
But I find YouTube, I adopted it about 11 years ago, 11 years ago now. I find that a wonderful medium. I mean, I probably record something, every day or two. And I'm not playing clarinet anymore. I'm actually into early music now, so I don't play anything that was written after 1750.
Mm-hmm.
But what you might be interested in is that I am playing a sort of clarinet, because back in the Baroque period, actually there were 2 different kinds of clarinet. There was the Baroque clarinet, which is a predecessor to the classical clarinet, so Anton Stadler's clarinet. But before the Baroque clarinet, you had the chalumeau. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the chalumeau.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, the 2-keyed...
It's based on the Egyptian aulos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except it's got a single reed instead of double.
Yeah, so I'm actually part of a Baroque ensemble, Queensland Baroque, and I have played chalumeau, although I mainly play recorder. And because we couldn't get our Baroque ensembles to play Renaissance music, we formed a Renaissance ensemble. So I tend to record music. I've got Renaissance recorders and I've got Baroque recorders. And I remember we talked on Facebook once about multi-tracking. And I've got Logic Pro X, and I very happily multi-track myself.
That's what I use. I went from Pro Tools to Logic, never look back.
Oh yeah, Logic's just so much more intuitive.
Oh yeah, and it's smooth as silk. It never crashes. It does everything you want it to do. Yeah, no, I still multi-track to this day on. That's how I do my book backings on Logic.
Yeah, but I find that and you can share your and I mean it's a lot of work to get audio to video, especially if you're multi-tracking up to 12 parts. But I worked out, I use Vegas Movie Studio, and I worked out how to do screen in screen. So I could actually, so if you watch sort of my latest videos, you can see the you can see all 12 parts happening at once. And
okay, right.
Yeah. I
think the most I did was 4. That's the most I was able to do. It was a clarinet quartet I put up at some stage.
Yeah, no, I work it all out mathematically, and it's like I film with the video camera sort of on its side so that you get the long view, especially if I'm playing like a contrabass recorder. You want to get the recorder in, and then I will, and then you have to turn it around on the video software, say minus 90 degrees, and then you have to enlarge it, and then you work it mathematically out so you can get the 12 screens. And but I
use a brilliant little program for smaller videos called Camtasia. Camtasia for Mac, and that's fantastic. It's a great little program, and you can put as many images as you want up on the one screen, and they're all separate videos, and they just come down on a playlist on the.
Because it's interesting that I was talking to Ruth Benetti. Ruth. Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah, because she lives around the corner, and we do sort of fireside musical chat videos, and we had a COVID version. She was sort of talking about how teaching on Zoom and everything, and we were discussing how everyone's suddenly discovered sort of multi-tracking and a cappella in isolation, and it's like, I've been doing that since 2013.
I've been multi-tracking since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I've still got cassette tapes of some of the first multi-tracking arrangements I used to do by ear. The Saints Go Marching In and Green Door, and I had my grandfather's, he lived with us, and I had my own little Sanyo cassette player, and he had a little National cassette player. And what I used to do was record the first part on mine, play it back while his was record the second part, play those 2 parts back, record back on mine, until you got to the point where the engine sound was so loud you couldn't hear anything. Then later on, I got a Tascam 4-track, and that's when life really took off. And you got the Tascam 4-track, you could get 8 tracks, and they were pretty clear. So that's when the ranging started.
So one of my fans is asking, do you spend more time teaching or more time playing professionally?
Oh, teaching, for sure. In Australia, there's very little performance opportunities now, even if you're at the top of your game. Yeah, so I probably only do 7 or 8 gigs a year.
Wow.
In Australia.
Yeah. This is why I love.
I pick the eyes out of them. I mean, there's opportunities to do small clubs and things, but I pick the eyes out of them. So this is like symphony orchestra, guest spots and all of that. So I'm 55 next year. So traveling really knocks it out of you. Living out of a suitcase. So I don't do that anymore. I did all of those in my early days, traveling around Philip Morris Super Band and B.B. King's and all that. But I do much more teaching, and I love it. I absolutely love teaching. In fact, I'm teaching today a girl in Western Australia today. But the hard part about the transition between being a performer and a teacher is they're 2 different worlds.
Completely.
And you have to take the hat of the performer off. You've got to use the experience that you gain from being a performer and bring it into your teaching, but you can't bring the attitude of a performer into your teaching. It puts people off.
You've got to take the ego out of it. You've got to take the self out of it,
and the patience. You've got to push the patience button. And I've played Carnegie Hall, as you know, but I sit with a kid who is struggling getting between A, B flat and B on a clarinet for an hour. And I love it, absolutely love it, because it's just the joy you see in their faces when they actually achieve something they didn't think they could do. And it's worth waiting 40 minutes or 20 minutes or however long it takes for that penny to drop. This is how it works. And then they finally get it. And from there, they just take off. And it's worth that time. But you can't approach it like, I'm a performer, I've done this, I've done that, I've got 24 albums, blah, blah, blah. You can't bring that attitude to teaching. You've got to be humble, you've got to be patient, and you've got to understand that everybody's on the ladder. We're all on a ladder, but just on a different rung,
And
we're all climbing.
Yeah, do you teach?
We're all climbing for our lives.
So do you teach just individuals, or do you teach groups as well?
I only teach individuals. I don't believe in group teaching, and it's my same philosophy that I use. Everybody has their own issues and their own their own problems that they bring to the lesson, and you can't deal with that in a group, not properly.
Yeah,
Not if you charge
I
them for
found
it.
that
If you
hard.
charge them,
Yeah, yeah, I found that hard in my when I was teaching in Leicester, especially even if you're only teaching in a group of two. I remember I was teaching these two beginner girls, and one girl was quite good. She was picking it up, but one girl was having trouble getting her finger down to the low G, and so I was spending more time with her during the lesson, sort of, because I recognised she needed the more help, and of course the other girl was getting jealous. I was like, why are you spending so much time with her? And parents are, and the girl was having so much trouble, the one with the problem, that she quit on me.
Well, that's one of the dynamics that has convinced me that it's not the way to go, because you always leave someone behind, or there's always that feeling of competition that happens when you've got more than one player, and especially with kids. There's a feeling of competition. I'm better than you. I don't like that. I've never liked that. I've got bullied at school and all the way through college. So I don't like that environment that sets up a competitive nature, which probably is why I don't like sport, because I don't like competition. I don't like the fact there's a winner. I don't like the fact that there's an underdog and that there's someone who always loses because there's a winner. If we didn't have a winner, there wouldn't be losers. You know what I mean? And those terms shouldn't exist in music.
Well,
there's no winners, losers.
It's part of the reason why I like Test cricket, actually, because you can play for 5 days and nobody wins and loses.
And no one knows what the score is, yeah.
No. Yeah. And,
or what day it is.
Or what day
their
it is, or, and
what's my name?
And Kerry O'Keefe tells frog jokes, or tries to eat naga chilies on air. And I don't know if you've ever heard about the frog joke.
No.
No. A frog walks into a bank, and the teller's name is Paddy, Miss Paddy Whack, and the frog says,
something about give a dog a bone, a frog a bone, or something, is it?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you just ruined it. No, so the frog says to Paddy, my name's what was his name? Jagger. He says, my dad's Mick Jagger, and I'd like a loan. And she said, oh, okay, what's your collateral? And he holds up a little pink ivory elephant. And she's like, hang on, I'm going to have to ask the manager. And so Paddy goes to the manager and says...
Oh, I think I know the punchline. I've worked it out.
It's a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the frog a loan. His old man's a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, right. Very good. I like that. That's nice.
No, well, there was another time where Australia were whipping the pants off India in a Sydney Test. Michael Clarke was 250, and Kerry O'Keefe's on with Harsha Bhogle, the Indian commentator, and when people go to the Test cricket, they listen to the ABC radio commentary on their headsets, on their transistor radios. So, the people in the members in front of the commentary box were obviously listening to the commentary on their headphones, on their little transistor radios, and a couple of boys called themselves the Naga Boys, sent a Naga chili to the comm box, and dared Kerry on air to eat the Naga chili. Now, apparently, the Naga chili is the hottest chili that you can find, and so they were daring Kerry to eat the Naga chili. And Kerry's like, oh, I don't want to eat the, I don't know. And they started slow clapping him, and they were saying, it sounds like we're playing in front of a live studio audience, because people were, on their headsets, and they were reacting. So you could hear laughing and cheering. And, and of course the Channel 9 commentators, the TV commentators, had no idea. And in the end, Kerry chickened out. and of course everyone, slow hand clapped him and everything, and Harsha was the one that ate the naga chili. But it was just an example of cricket culture. That there's nothing happening. So, somebody sends a naga chili to the com box dead, the commentator to eat it on air. Or, the late Tony Gregg gets a bit bored and the cameraman starts panning around to the pretty girls in the crowd.
Oh, gosh. Wouldn't get away with that now.
Yeah. Have I got to let you go, Andy? Have you got to... Oh, you got to play something for us?
Oh, not really. Sorry?
Come on, dare him to play
I'm
something.
just recording a new album, that's all.
No, I was going to say I've got I've got a live studio audience here.
I don't know if it would be live enough, it would be quick enough. I don't know.
Shall we dare him? Here we go.
Can you hear that without it being distorted?
Nah, distorted on us.
Yeah. So if that doesn't sound like a slow rumba, then there might be some hope of doing live streaming.
Actually, no. I tell you what, I've given you the link to today's live stream, and so you can watch it via that link. The live chat will upload in a few hours as well, so you can see what people are saying about you. So you can I actually heard
I'll opt out of that. I wonder if you've got issues with copyright when you live stream, so you can't play Misty or These Foolish Things or.
Well, the only copyright issue I ever had, because they sort of issue you copyright claims, but they share the monetisation, so that's fine. It's not a strike. But I did a live stream a few weeks ago that got stopped because I was playing Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, well, I did.
I mean that.
Like I was playing. I played because what I tend to do on my live stream is play pre-recorded videos of myself, just via the OBS, and I did a live stream on my earliest musical influences, which for every Australian kid is Bugs Bunny, as in What's Opera Doc, Rabbit of Seville. And I was playing What's Opera Doc, and the YouTube police said nah, and they cut off my live stream. But no,
you were using actual footage, or you were? Yeah, right. Okay, you can't do that. No.
Well, I mean, it was already on YouTube, but actually, it wasn't the actual cartoon. It was a YouTube video of how sort of how popular. What's Opera Doc is, and they get like a real symphony orchestra to play it, and they have it on a big screen, and that's what the video was.
Right. Okay.
And I said, nah, you're out of here. So I had to start another live stream. But I mean, I get like sort of copyright claims, but it's never a copyright strike. So it'll say, oh, look, we're sharing the monetisation with a third party, but they never actually cut the live stream off.
Yeah. I've had people use my Boozy and Hawks books, and they've actually used my actual backings. But I got sort of done with that deal where they actually had a clause in there that they own it for the term of the territory, which means forever. And, 70 years after my death sort of thing, but 1 second after my death is no use to me. So they own those pieces out of the clarinet and saxophone books with Andy Firth. So they own those for good. So people have actually started pirating them and putting up the music on screen, doing their own versions of it, and putting the backing that I actually did for the book And instead of Boozy and Hawk sort of saying, oh, no, you can't do that, they just monetize it.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's good for my book sales, isn't it? Thanks for that.
Well, I mean, I've got a number of your sort of backings on my YouTube channel, so I've never had.
Oh, the backings is not so much a problem. They put the music up there. They're actually putting the notes up there. So people don't buy the books for the backing. They buy them for the music, for the actual notated music. That's why you buy the book.
Yeah.
So I don't mind so much now. I've got my own publishing, but at the time that was my sole sort of royalties were coming from those book sales.
The only problem
I see a problem with using that on YouTube. I do. So
yeah.
I can't say that that's a wrong thing to do. When people create music, they should be paid for it if it's used.
Yeah,
that's what our livelihood is.
The only times I have had a problem, sometimes, and I've had to dispute it, is sometimes YouTube gets a little bit too aggressive. Like with the Mozart clarinet concerto, I did my own version of it. They blocked it, and I said,
blocked mine too.
And I said, excuse me.
Yeah,
but
they claim that
Mozart died 200 years ago, and I said, and I disputed it, and they said, yep, fine. But the funniest one, Jacob van Eyck. Do you know that bloke?
No.
Well, he's a Renaissance composer, pre-1600, and I was playing the Nightingale from De Fluiten Lusthof by Van Eyck. They blocked it, and I'm like, excuse me, and I disputed it and got it back up, but I just couldn't believe they'd do that.
I had a run-in with them. I played the Mozart clarinet concerto with the Sydney Concert Orchestra, and I put up a few of the movements. Not because I wanted to, but people kept saying, "Can you put up some footage of it?" So I did. And they blocked it and claimed that I'd used EMI's Sabina Meyer soundtrack. And that's an insult to Sabina for a start. She's a lovely lady.
Wow.
But I had to dispute it because I couldn't let it go unanswered because it's detrimental to Sabina to think that I was using her soundtrack. You wouldn't hire a symphony orchestra and stand at the front pretending to play the Mozart clarinet concerto using someone else's soundtrack. I think no one's policing it. I think it's actually just an algorithm that a computer runs.
Yeah.
And there's no common sense to it. I had to pull down Song of India, which is Rimsky-Korsakov, 19th century, not even in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And because they claimed that it was This Love of Mine. And This Love of Mine is nothing like Song of India. It was my own arrangement of Song of India. My own arrangement. It wasn't the Dorsey arrangement of Song of India. It was my own arrangement of it.
Well, I think I recorded a practice session. I mean, I actually record my practice. I used to record my practice sessions and put them up on YouTube.
I've seen some of them. Yeah.
And I mean, they're not pleasant to watch, but they're a good record. But I was practicing, and they picked up something from that. So, but I'll give you a tip if you ever do decide to live stream. Is that what you're listening to me on? Is I've got my H5 Zoom microphone plugged in to my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because you're probably just talking to me on your computer microphone.
Yeah, I use a studio mic when I go professional.
Yeah, so what you can do when you live stream with YouTube and I tend to go through OBS, is that my audio is coming through a H5 Zoom, which I can constantly adjust, and I can hear you, and OBS can hear you through a speaker. I've actually got a speaker sitting right here, because if I was to use OBS and play my YouTube videos just with the computer mic, awful. So there are ways of sort of sounding fantastic. If you just got to know the right settings, and you got to have the right equipment, and it's very possible.
When I go serious and I'm actually playing, not so much live, but if I'm doing a video that I want people to to see it's being recorded, I go through my microphones here, Sennheiser, and then I've got a Motu sound unit that I use. So Mark of the Unicorn's a nice sound unit to have. So it all runs through there, and it's pretty controlled, you know. And you can even run it through reverb and put a bit of EQ and compression and things like that with it. But no, the only issue I had was, is the streaming fast enough to capture the music? Because the last thing I'd want to be doing is performing and it's sort of stuttering. And, you know, that's why I haven't gone live. So, but it's worth trying. I might do a live stream just to see. I don't think anyone would be interested in anything I'm doing, but it'd be interesting.
Oh, well, you let me know, and I'll be there. I'll be in the live chat.
An audience of one.
Yeah. Well, I've got an audience of 4, so.
There you go.
Actually, one of my fans just said, it's amazing to me that Andy's clarinet, as he played just now, sounded as good as it did via a so-so microphone and a round-the-world internet connection that isn't all that great on this end. So there you go.
It didn't improve my playing at all, though.
Oh, my husband says hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, husband.
You remember Mark? We met at the Brisbane Jazz Club?
Yeah, briefly. Yeah, we met once. Yeah, the Brisbane Jazz Club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope we can do that again. They've renovated it now. The gig at Christmas time was brilliant. I really enjoyed that.
I know. I think it must have been sold out or something, and I missed that because
Oh, yeah. And Will Sargison, what a genius. He's frightening.
Oh, yeah. No, there's some good stuff.
I got as soon as the first project I'm going to do when we're post-COVID is I'm going to do an album with Will Sargison.
Yeah. Oh, they absolutely love your playing and thanking me for introducing you. So.
Oh, that's very nice.
We're going. Well, I might let you go, Andy. We've been talking for about an hour and a half, mate. You are so generous with your time, and I'm so thankful for that.
About an hour and then. Yeah, it's better than sitting in the room and just writing books and recording things that stay in 4 walls for a while. It's good to have a natter.
Yeah, no, it's interesting actually when I do my YouTube videos is that I'm actually miming. All of my audio comes from Logic Pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know with the Acapella app, you're just sort of multi-layering yourself when you're doing it live.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm recording, I mean, I'm constantly retaking and editing and, I've got, I know all the tricks to make myself look good. And I'm basically just sight reading. So if I come to a difficult bit and I stuff it up, well, there's probably like 7 or 8 different takes, and you're punching in and out and all that sort of stuff. So and because I'm doing like 12 parts anyway, is that I record the audio through Logic Pro, and then I stick the video camera on, and I stick the metronome on, so that you can actually see. So you can line all the parts up visually.
Interesting. Yeah, like a click track. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because when you record in Logic, you record to a click track. Well, I just stick the click track on so that, and then I just stick the video camera on, play the audio 12 times with each of the different recorders, and then just turn in the different video tracks, turn the audio off. So, if I'm doing a 12-part piece, I'll have 13 audio tracks and 12 video tracks. So I mute all but the Logic Pro audio track.
Yeah, I get
line up all the video tracks, and then add sort of a graphic saying what the piece is. But I never record my sort of multi-track videos live.
I did that one with the live at Theatre Australia when we did the Benny Goodman tribute at Theatre Australia. I took the video footage and then put the actual CD we made, and I put the soundtrack from the CD to the video. It took ages to sync it up so that everyone was playing in the right spot at the right time. The reason I don't do that is that I kind of feel like people want to see you play the piece, and then it kind of feels a bit like you're
I am playing the piece. I am playing the piece.
You are, but not live. You know what I mean? Like without mistakes.
Live enough. Well, I mean, you're on a
You've got the luxury of dropping in and changing notes. Yeah.
No, by the time
I can understand why you do it. But I'd kind of feel like, I'd need to be able to, if I'm going to represent my own pieces, I should be able to play them. So, without mistakes.
Well, thing is, I tend to, the recording's perfect. I get it right eventually. But by the time actually I've recorded the piece, I can generally play the thing live anyway, so that the fingers are actually representing the notes on the recording.
Oh, yeah.
And if I do fluff up, well, I'm banking on the fact that there's 11 different, other video tracks to look at. So that, unless someone's sort of eagle-eyed and,
Yeah, I wish I'd done that when I recorded the 3 pieces for solo jazz clarinet, because there were a lot of takes in that, I can assure you.
Well, actually, I remember you, I did that live.
That's a nasty piece.
Oh, my God. Well, I did that live at St. Mark's, and you actually commented on that video and said how brave I was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's a nasty bit of music. I actually wrote that to challenge myself. It wasn't written for students, that last movement.
I love it.
That was written to give me something to chew on, because I'd been through all my Lazarus studies and taken them up a tone and up a fourth, and I was sort of running out of material to keep my chops in shape. So I wanted to write something. And another one I'm going to publish pretty soon is the Moto Perpetuo for jazz clarinet and funk band. And that's like the Paganini Moto Perpetuo, but only a little bit more difficult. And that I don't think I'll be recording live, because that really is nasty.
Yeah, because I was playing the video earlier, and I was listening to it, going, oh, God, wrong note, stuff that bit, and I said that to the fans, and they're like, well, we didn't hear it.
It was actually an experiment to gradually morph from a classical study into a jazz idiom. It came from a conversation in the dressing room with Buddy Franklin when we did the Carnegie Hall gig. We were talking about the importance of playing classical studies. Otherwise, if you just play jazz for a career, erodes your technique if you're not doing the serious classical studies as well. And we had the same sort of attitude about that and philosophy about it, which I was surprised. And he always played Rose studies and loved the Lazarus book. And I've always loved the Lazarus book since I was a kid. You just go cover to cover over a couple of years with the Lazarus book. Fabulous.
I love the Bearman Stage 3, Division 3, actually. That takes about 2 hours. I love it. But
well, that's why I put out that piece, that series of books, Fit Fingers.
Yes.
For clarinet.
Yeah.
Because it's got a jazz rhythm section in the background, and you're basically just doing Hanon for clarinet to a jazz rhythm section. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I still use book 3 of that. There's some nasty little studies in that. I enjoyed writing that because I had to actually create all the backings with the keyboard, because we didn't have a rhythm section or anything we could use to play the parts. And there were so many different keys that it would have driven a rhythm section. They had to be playing in B major and then C sharp major. So they all had to be recorded on keyboard. That was fun.
Oh, you didn't just go in Logic and then just adjust the
No.
I think I did that once, actually, just to see what it.
Oh, you can do it, yeah, but you've got to be careful.
It sort of gets you get a little bit of beating and.
Well, if it's MIDI, you can do it with MIDI, no problems at all.
Yeah.
Change the key, it'll transpose it. But you've got to be careful where your bass range sits, because you'll be playing notes that don't exist on the bass. And some chord voicings on the piano sound muddy if you just transpose them. When I did the Scales of Cool series, because there were so many pieces in that series that had those little exercises, there's no way I could sit there and record them all in those different keys. So, I did use a little bit of MIDI manipulation then. For that, but then I had to redo bass lines because they'd drop out of range, and piano voices were sounding a bit muddy. But
awesome.
But for the most part, it's But I really like the idea of the samples and the loops that you can buy now, the drum loops and things that are played by real players. Very, very useful, extremely useful. Much better than playing finger drums. Having said that, this last book I just did, the Latin one, I actually had to play finger drums. with Battery 3, which is a fabulous little drum sampling program, because I couldn't get authentic cha-chas, and I could find plenty of mambos and merengue and things, but not so much cha-chas. And I did a sound-alike of the karaoke, and I couldn't find beguines and rumbas and things. No one's playing that stuff anymore. So I had to do my own. But I love all that stuff, cha-chas and rumbas and beguines and mambos, and sort of disappearing out of music, unfortunately.
I think I worked out actually that you could sort of bring together from all the various loops an entire Pachelbel's canon.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, no, I had a go at that one day, trying to work that out. Yeah. Anyway, Andy,
right.
you've been absolutely fantastic. The fans have loved you. I think
Oh,
you're
my pleasure.
fantastic.
It's a relaxed Saturday morning here, so well, we're in the afternoon now. I'll get some lunch and I've got to teach. But,
Nice.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and
Well, love to
hope you
Liz.
enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks.
Love to Liz.
Thanks.
And,
We've got a long road ahead, but we'll get
three doggies? Three doggies?
there. 3 doggies, yes. Bebop, Jazz. Sorry, Jazz is gone. I keep saying Jazz. Oh, it's terrible. You never forget them. Bebop, Tico, and Zoot.
Zoot. Nice.
Zoot's the little boy. He's 5 now. He's not so little. Big black spaniel. He's named after Zoot Sims, of course.
Oh, lovely. All right, look, it's been absolutely fantastic talking
Nice to catch up with you again, Kathy.
I know. You have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend, and maybe we can catch up again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, lovely. I'll catch you
Take care of
later.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How much fun was that? Was that? Oh, I can't believe we talked for so long. I mean, I haven't seen him in ages. And it's just so nice to. I don't know whether you guys want to sign off or whether I'll just keep playing Andy Firth and you guys can keep listening. Yeah, oh, hang on. That's not working. Hang on. This isn't working very well. Hang on. I'll just... Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yeah, for some reason the Epoch Cam is, not working very well. So I can keep going and keep playing a bit more Andy Firth, or you guys can rack off and go to bed, or whatever. So, I'm going to keep playing Andy Firth, and if you're here, you're here. Otherwise, night, afternoon, football starts soon. So, I'm going to keep going with the Benny Goodman show. So, here we go.
Andy Firth, please. I would like to make some applause. I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. And please also a big applause for our wonderful producer, Linda Brady, who gave this whole show. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for coming. And I'll see you real soon.
How good was that? How good was that? So, hope you enjoyed that, because I sure did. And I'm going to leave it there, because this has been another marathon. I don't think Andy did the filming. I don't know who did the filming, but yeah. Andy's got his own YouTube channel. I think it's called Andy Firth Jazz Music. That's his YouTube channel. And his website is andyfirthmusic.com. Well, at the moment, my mood's a little bit elevated, going towards manic. So that's where I get my energy, from my mental illness. I haven't been sleeping well. Actually wore makeup today because my eyes aren't looking terrific. I was watching videos on Doggerland at 3 a.m. this morning because I couldn't sleep. But anyway, my dead cat Mick came yesterday, so I'm going to be filming from the back of a city cat ferry on probably Monday. So history and geology of the Brisbane River. So you'll get that Tuesday night. And I'm starting university again next week. I've got 2 3-hour lectures, which should be fun. So I will keep up these Saturday morning for me live streams because I enjoy them so much. Maybe next week I will so I think next week we'll continue with what I've been up to in ISO. I've actually been adding stuff. So, and then tomorrow, I've got a recorder orchestra playing afternoon with my recorder orchestra, Brisbane Recorder Orchestra. Yeah. So, bye all. You'll see me in some form Tuesday night. I can't do a Facebook Live. It will only be a YouTube premiere because on Wednesday I've got a 3-hour lecture from 8 till 11. So the YouTube premiere will be at 12 o'clock my time. Yeah, tomorrow my time, in the future. Yeah, you work it out. All right. Yeah. I haven't got time. I got a 3-hour lecture, so I got to do some research on the Brisbane River. Actually, I've done a fair amount of research, but to write the script and work out what the hell I'm doing. So I'll see you then. And we will continue next week what I've been up to in ISO. Oh, I think you guys are pretty wonderful too. So I think you're pretty wonderful friends as well. All right, I'll see you later. See you soon.